Yes, I have power. No, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just enjoying the low level lighting. Um, thought I'd give a brief, well, I guess it depends. Yeah, probably brief recount of, assuming the microphone works, hopefully this one, not that one, of events that occurred recently. So we'll just hop right into it. Friday night, uh, left work early for various reasons, which I think I went into. I'm not going to go into that again, though. And knew the storm was coming, Ida, of course. And immediately went into what do I do mode. So that consisted of initially determining where to get gas because I needed to do that. That's one of the first things you do. And I guess during storm season here, you should try and keep a full tank of gas as much as possible. But I needed gas, so I had to determine where to go to get gas. First place I went, they were out. Second place I went, they were out. Third place I went, saw a line and waited in line for gas and thought, by the time I get there, they're going to be out of gas. But luckily they were not. So was able to get gas, and my intention was to leave town Friday night. Now, again, the storm was slated to come Sunday afternoon / Sunday evening. So after I had filled my tank, I decided let's relax, let's not panic, let's think about our options. So I called a couple of people, tried to determine what they were going to do, and then kind of bounce what I would do off of what they would do. Talk to some neighbors, pretty hardcore neighbors that have been here through storms. And I thought, maybe they have a feel for things and what's coming and how things have played out. And they've been through Katrina, so, they don't want to relive that. So if there's a chance that is about to happen again, they would, in fact, not stick around. So having talked to the neighbors, they decided they would, in fact, remain. So that steeled me a bit in my decision to potentially stay put. Let's see, go to bed Friday night, all as well. Saturday morning, wake up and a bit pensive, but still not panicking. And by Saturday afternoon, I decide maybe I should at least board the windows. Now, I have a house on this side. Well, actually, I have the other half of this house. This is a shotgun, so I share that whole long half with another family. On the other side of this house is a house. Behind me is a house. And over here is a house. So I'm sandwiched on three sides by other houses that'll catch the brunt of things before this one does. However, the front of this house is open, other than the opposite side of the street. So I called the landlord and I said, do you have any intention to board the windows? Or, if you just want to drop wood off, I'll hang boards over the windows, no problem. And his reply was, perhaps not surprisingly, hey, I'm out of town. So a lot of good that did me. And, I understand, I guess, or maybe I don't. But, I thought, it's a landlord-tenant relationship. I get that. But at least a text saying, hey, you okay? What do you plan on doing? Good luck. Kiss my ass, something. I got nothing from the guy until I called him and found out he was out of town. Good for him. I'm glad he's safe. So I call a friend of mine, coworker, and I say, hey, you know anybody? Do you have boards? Do you know anybody that has wood? I need wood. Oh, yeah, my friend's got wood. Come to the bar and have a drink with us and grab the wood. I have a feeling how this is going to turn out. Come to the bar and hang out and grab wood. So I come to the bar. I have a beer. No mention of wood yet. My friend is surrounded on three sides by gentlemen. And finally I say, hey, I need wood. I'm not really here to drink and hang out. There's a storm coming, so I need to tend to other matters. But anyway, her friend's like, yeah, I got some wood, and we go to the van. He has like two pieces of, you know what a size door, a typical doggy door is? Like two pieces of wood that you cover a doggy door with. And I've got like ceilings that are about 10 feet high from floor to top. And then above the door are more glass windows. Well, mostly glass. That's another story. I got to cover them because the stuff's going to blow in. I just know it. So I'm trying to figure out how to get wood. I figure Lowe's is out of everything because people are having the same idea and scrambling to get stuff. So I go to the shed and back, and I find some shelving that had been left there by my previous significant other. And I grabbed those and determined that if I cut each of those shelving boards in half, I have enough length to cover the windows. So I do that. In fact, as luck would have it, I cut each board in half, and it had exactly enough boards to cover the entirety of what I needed to cover. So that worked out great. Neighbors this neighbor here at this point has gone to her family's house in a different part of New Orleans. The grandson is still here. Excuse me, grandson sees my handiwork and says, you have any more boards? And I said, well, no, I don't. I had just enough to cover mine, and I feel bad because, hey, I got mine covered. Good luck on yours. And I didn't want to be that guy. So I said, hey, tomorrow morning, we'll look into getting some boards on your windows. This is Saturday afternoon. I'm following the weather. I'm following updates. I'm letting people know that I intend to stay, and that's what I intend to do. So Saturday night, I go to bed at a relatively decent time. The weather report is not good. We know what's coming. It's low 4, high 3, something like that. I think it was a high 3 when I went to bed, category 3. Last year I went through, I don't remember the storm's name, but I went through my first, hey OG, good to see you. Thank you, sir. Last year I went through my first category 3 storm ever. And it's scary. Maybe it gets less scary if you do it more often, but I really thought the roof was going to lift off. It's loud, it's scary, and it's not fun. So I'm reliving that in the back of my mind. Also, more in the forefront of my mind is what to do with the car, because if I leave it on the street and it floods, car's done. I can park it on what we call the neutral ground here, which is basically an overconfident median. It's a huge median. I don't know why they're like that. Maybe it's for this reason. I don't know. But the city allows you to park on the neutral ground when a storm comes for potential flooding reasons, blah, blah, blah. I don't really like that idea either. This city is notorious for break-ins with cars and things like that. Not that I have anything in. It's a 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix. I mean, if anybody's going to steal a car, this isn't going to be top of their list. And as far as breaking in to get anything, I never keep anything in the car. I mean, all you got to do is walk by and look in and notice that there's not a damn thing in it. And then it's so old, the stereo system isn't worth the trouble getting out. So, but still you worry. And it's like, well, what do I do with the car? So I go to bed. 3 o'clock in the morning, call it divine providence, intervention, whatever, guardian angel. 3 in the morning, I wake up, I can't sleep. So what do? You check your phone, you check the report. And as I'm reading, it is now a worse prediction than it was when I went to, I'm sorry about the autofocus here. Maybe if I quit waving my hand around. It's a worse prediction than when I went to bed. So whereas upon turning in, they said, a 3? Now they were saying a low 4, potentially high 5. And I thought, why am I staying here? What's the reasoning behind this? Why do I want to endure this? I don't have to. Granted, it's 9 hours away, but I have a place to go. I have family there. I'll be fed and watered, and there's a flush toilet. So, that seems to be a no-brainer. And I just think about it, and I'm pacing, and the cat, at this point, realizes something's afoot and is watching me apprehensively. And I'm looking at stuff, and then it starts, right? Now, I've talked about this in the past. if I had to jet out of here, what would I take? And here I am, and I'm looking around, and I've got 10,000 games. I've got a computer. I've got this. I've got that. I've got things that I would like to take, but it's not feasible to fit in the car. So I think about it, and I run an inventory in my head of things that are replaceable, and that's pretty much 90% of everything I own is replaceable. So I think, well, it sucks, but a lot of this stuff I can leave behind, and worst comes to worst, again, it's replaceable. So uh, what I decide to take with me is going to baffle most, if not all of you. Now, you would think I would take the computer. You would think I would take the cameras that I have, microphone equipment, electronics. You would think I would take games, board games. You might think these things, but you would think incorrectly. What I ended up taking was, are you ready for this? I ended up taking these damn things that I painted. Why? What is the reasoning behind that? Because I was able to determine that's not as easily replaceable. I've spent so much damn time painting these things. I don't want to have to do it again. There's a lot of me that has gone in to these damn things that I've painted. So I think I'm taking them. I mean, it's not like I can replace them off the shelf with the things that I have. I have to do this all over again if I want these things, or pay out the nose to have somebody else do it. Blah blah blah. Long story. We've all heard it. So I start packing. I start packing up these damn guys. I pack up my paints because I think, well, I need something to do. This could be like they were predicting that the power could be out for anywhere from 3 weeks to a month. Something, and I gotta have something to do. I'm gonna go stir crazy. I still have guys that I need painting. I have paints. I guess I dig it somewhat. The painting thing, it passes time. I'm not gonna go so far as to say I love it, but. So I grab the paints, I grab all these guys, I'm putting them in bins, I'm taking them to the car. Then I think, well, I got all of these terrain boards, these things, right? And okay, they're replaceable, but I had to order them from like England, and it's just a hassle to get them again. So I got to take these with me, and it'll give me something to do. If I want a game, I have my terrain with me. So I took those. I took just a few clothes that I wear often. Come on, let's all admit it. We have a ton of clothes. Most of them we don't need or wear, but we have them. So I took the things that I wear on a regular basis. I tried to empty the fridge as best I could. Now, this is 3 o'clock in the morning that this started. And I'm thinking, you got to go. The storm's coming. It's Sunday. It's coming. Luckily, I have gas in my car. So clean the fridge out. I run everything to the car, filling the car up. This is like a scenario I played out in my head a number of times. And this is reality now. This is what I'm doing. Cat food, grab that. Some other basic tidbits. I got like a little black book with logins and passwords and whatnots, and too many things to keep track and remember. So you bring that. And I scoop up the cat, literally football style. I don't even grab a cat carrier, and head to the car and leave and don't look back. And as I'm leaving, now I've seen the previous 2 days, I had seen pictures of traffic leaving New Orleans, and it's a madhouse. I mean, it's like just a slow crawl out of this city. And I think, God help it, it's not like that. But I left at 5:30 in the morning, and I get on I-10, and there's nobody. There's like nobody out because everybody has either left or is hunkered down, which is smart. That's what you're supposed to do. You don't decide to leave hours before the storm like I did. Not a good idea. But here I am with the stupid stuff I have in my car that I think I can't live without. And I'm heading out, and it's raining, and it's starting to storm. And I feel like one of those movies where there's like this cloud of stuff rolling, coming behind you, catching up with you as you're speeding away. It really felt like that. It wasn't a cool feeling. It was this is scaring the hell out of me feeling. But that was my fault because I waited too long. But on the bright side, there was no traffic, right? So I'm heading out. And it wasn't until about an hour and a half out of New Orleans when the clouds part and I start seeing sun, and I think I made it, So I drive about halfway to St. Louis, get gas, blah, 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 and then get back on the road and drive the rest of the way. So only stopped once, drove straight through. Not advisable. I have back problems. Um, so I needed to stop more frequently. But anyway, got pulled into St. Louis about 3 in the afternoon and had dinner with my brother. Immediate folks are out of town, parents-wise, and that would be mother and stepfather. And this is now Sunday evening. They're not due back till Thursday. So I unload the car. I had to literally get a butter knife and pry the cat out from underneath the passenger car seat. Her experience of dealing with the world outside of this house only consists of a brief moment to the car vet, back to the car home. That's the only thing she's ever dealt with. So this is all new and strange to her. Get her in the house. Friday goes by, see brother again Saturday. No, I'm sorry. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, I think I see my biological father. I see him very infrequently, but saw him. And then Thursday, the parents come back, stepfather and mother raised me. And then, let's see. Meanwhile, there's all these if not, whatnots and unknowns and what ifs and things. And I'm texting back and forth to fellow employees and neighbors, and I'm checking weather reports, and I don't know what's going on. I don't have fancy cameras that I can look in on and see that my house is still standing, that the roof is still on, that there's now leaks or water damage, that somebody hasn't broke into it, all these things. I don't know what the hell's going on, but bottom line, at least I'm somewhere safe and out of harm's way. Again, yeah, so Thursday, parents come home. That turns into Friday. That turns into Sunday. I don't even know what date is right now. It's Wednesday. Is that what today is? Okay. So long story short, yeah, I'm doing good. This is my long, boring, drawn out story about what happened. Thank you, Viper Dave. Work decides they want people back on Thursday, and what else? But the main thing is the main determining factor. Remember, of me coming back home is when is power restored, because power went off relatively quickly once the storm hit, and so I was monitoring that. And there's no point in coming back, and it's primarily one of the main reasons I left. It wasn't just because I'm afraid I'm going to get blown away Mary Poppins style. It's just I don't want to be here for the aftermath, which would in fact consist of days of potentially, again, a month of no power. It's hot here. Where do you keep food? All these problems. And what do you do with your car? So leaving again allowed me to not worry about the car, because obviously the car is with me. So checking all these reports and worrying. And it may sound like a nice vacation that I was able to spend with family, but it wasn't. It was nice to be with family, but you're worried about things, right? And I don't think I slept a decent night the entire time I was there. So finally, I get a text from the utility company saying we have power back, which was amazing because, again, they were predicting weeks, right? Plural, multiple weeks. And it had only been about 7-8 days at that point. I say only, but it could have been a lot worse. So I think, all right, now here's the thing. The power's back on. Will it stay on? So I decided to allow for potential consistency in power distribution. That is to say, let's see how long it stays on. Does it go out again? Does it go out right away? Does it on, off, on, off? I'm not dealing with that. So once it was on, it stayed. So I thought, okay, after a day of that, I thought, oh, good to go back home. It was hard to leave. Again, I got family up there. It's a long story, but being down here, it's different. It's trying. It's challenging in a lot of ways. Socially, family-wise, the person I moved down here for is gone. Wow, poor me, blah, blah, blah. But it's challenging. So when I was up there, it was a little different this time for some reason, and it was kind of hard to leave. But I had to come back. This is my home, so I came back. And I left about 7 in the morning. Now, about an hour and a half outside of New Orleans, I see my first tree blown over. And I'm like, my God, it wasn't just broken in half or limbs. It was like a whole tree, gigantic tree that was uprooted and down on the ground. Wow, that's crazy, And then drive a little bit further, more trees. And it looked like a dinosaur, the highway, 55 south. It looked like a dinosaur just went through and ravaged both sides of the highway. And you could tell where trees had been blown over onto the highway, onto guardrails, knocked things over, dents, signs blown off. And I'm like, my God, I'm going into a war zone here. What am I going to, how bad does this get as I get deeper and deeper into New Orleans? So once it turns into 55, converges into I-10, it's like, boom, bottleneck. I think everybody had decided to go home at this point. This was yesterday. Yes, yesterday. Little before, right around 3, something like that. And so I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm like, oh, well, it could be worse. But it didn't last that long. And I'm continuing on my way, and I'm looking at all these places to my left and my right. And now, granted, a lot of these are just shacks to begin with in the bayou, and they're just destroyed. They're gone. Not livable anymore. And once I made it to Kenner, right around the New Orleans airport area, you start seeing all these blue tarps. Now, I'd heard on the media that if you have roofs blown off or damaged or leaks, the government or someone was handing out these blue tarps you can get for free to cover your roof until you can get it fixed. Very nice gesture. But I'm seeing these blue tarps everywhere going through Kenner, and I think, oh, Jesus. What's it going to be like when I get to, not to be too self-referential, but I mean, I'm worried about my place, right? So I'm just thinking the worst. And all these blue tarps, signs down, just the amount of debris and branches and trees that were all over the place was just phenomenal. I mean, my God. So I get right outside of New Orleans proper, start heading in, and you can see the damage. There's, storefronts are bashed in. Now, is that from the storm, or is that from somebody that bashed it in and thought they needed something out of the store? I don't know. I won't go into that. But definitely visible damage. And get to my house, and it's still standing. The roof's still on. But I haven't been inside yet. Nobody has. I haven't even, the landlord got back before me, but he said he didn't have a key and he couldn't go inside to let me know how it was. So nobody knows what it's like in here. Open the door, I close my eyes because I didn't know. The roof, some part of the ceiling will have been caved in, or water will have damaged something. First room, I open my eyes. Everything looks all right. I get to the middle room where I'm in now. Wow, everything looks okay there, but I still got the bedroom, the bathroom, and the kitchen to go. So I hit the bedroom. Everything looks good there. Hit the bathroom, where the ceiling has in fact caved in before, but not as a direct result of a storm. It might be an indirect result of a previous storm that created a leak, and then it finally caved in. But that was fine. And I'm like, okay, here we go. The kitchen's going to have something. And the kitchen was good too. I look up and I see this bulging spot in the corner. I'm like, that don't look right. Stab it with the broom handle. It's not soft, so that must have always been there. So we're good to go. Check outside all around the house. Not much going on there either. I can't believe it. To be honest with you, I don't think a speck of dust was disturbed inside this place during the entire storm. I don't even know that a shingle blew off, which is crazy, because the guy right here, it looked like a dump truck took a load of shingles and dumped them in his yard. And they're all over in my half. And it's just, I don't know how. I guess, again, because he's on the corner there, and he took the brunt of that wind and blocked our house, which is what, again, this house, and the one behind me does. They block direct wind damage. So, really lucked out, and nothing was damaged or disturbed, or I couldn't believe it. Pulled the boards off the windows, brought everything in, got the cat inside, and just tried to breathe. It had been a long long extended week, 8, 9 days, and I'm glad it's over. And trust me, I feel blessed and lucky and all that, because I know it could have been worse. They were predicting would it be worse? That again, it could have been like 3 weeks, a month. I'm blessed that I had somewhere to go. I'm very humbled by this thing. I knew this stuff would happen eventually, where I had to deal with this in this respect. Well, why do you live down there? Well, because we're stupid. Nobody should live down here. This city shouldn't have been built in the first place on a swamp. But we live down here, and for various reasons, and this is what we've chosen to deal with. But that doesn't make it any more easy to deal with when it happens. So, yeah, lucky. And so today, just took care of odds and ends, and got everything in its place, and just relax. And oh my God, talk about sleep last night, man. I slept like a dead baby. I slept like I had never slept before. Man, I felt like I was teleported somewhere, transported to a different. It didn't even feel like sleep. It just felt like I had been. I don't know how to explain it. I slept so good last night. I really needed that, and doing a lot better today. So, Timothy, thank you for listening to me drone on, and the rest of you. Glad to hear you and your place came through. I won't lie. I worried about your game collection. Yeah, that would have been tough to replace. There are a number of things that would have been an issue as far as replacing, but I guess there's a risk in everything you do in life, and this is just one of those risks. But the main thing is, I'm okay. No bodily harm. Cat's okay. So yeah, that's my storm story. I'm glad I don't have anything awful to share. I'm glad I don't have any horror stories to relate. There's no, people hold up and had to resort to cannibalism type stuff going on here. There's a lot of things. Tried to pay rent today, and my bank is closed. The ATMs aren't even working. There's gas stations, whole gas stations that are just shut down. A lot of restaurants, stores, storefronts, they've got a lot of cleaning up and catching up to do. Post office closed, no mail right now. As far as power in general to the city, the majority of the city has power, but there are areas that are still dealing with no power, with intermittent power, on, off, on, off. Mine's been consistent. In fact, I even thought what I'm doing right now is a miracle, because I thought, sure, internet would be down for who knows how long. And I plugged everything back in because I had unplugged it when I left. And I don't know how, but it's working. They got it fixed, or it never went down. I don't know. What else? Grocery stores are open. It's a little weird. If you need to go to the grocery store, I've talked to some people, and I think one place has makes you wait in line, and I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is. I don't know if it's like a staffing issue, because they don't have enough people to deal with a full onslaught, enough workers to deal with a full onslaught of folks coming in to buy groceries. Could be that. It could be that this is me being a conspiracy theorist, but it could be like a psychological thing, right? If you have a ton of people all in a store at once, it suddenly feels like a competition, and you start fighting over resources, and maybe it cuts down on that type of thinking if there's only a certain amount of people allowed in there at a time. I don't know. It wasn't a COVID thing, which, if y'all remember, we're still dealing with. So not only do we have a storm that we're recovering from, it's in the midst of a COVID epidemic, and we all know about that. But anyway, Mr. Never Been to Europe says the best part, you're okay. I appreciate that. We got internet before power. Fiber optic had cartoons for the kids on generator. That's cool. Cartoons for kids on the generator. I do not have a generator. I keep reading stories about people getting poisoning from the fumes from the generator. That's not good. Yeah, no generator. What else? So was able to get. I had already gotten food, so was able to stock the fridge with the same basic. I'm a simple person when it comes to eating at home. I eat roughly the same things all the time, so that was not hard to acquire that stuff and restock the fridge. The only real work I had to do was open both doors and run a fan to get some air through here and clean out the freezer because power was off, so mold was growing in the freezer, and I had to take care of that. So that's really about it. I mean, again, I'm glad I don't have any horror stories to tell you guys. That's my storm story. I think it did end up being a Category 4, where it was supposed to slow down and lose steam when it hits land. It didn't. To my recollection, it maintained its momentum, and worse, it didn't just roll through. It kind of hung out over New Orleans for a while, that general area, which made things maybe a little worse than would have otherwise been. Again, I would ask those of you who are up on this stuff to remember we are not even in the height or the peak of hurricane season yet. So we could potentially have to deal with a scenario similar to this yet again before this season is out. God willing, we won't have to, but that is a possibility. And I've run that scenario through my head. And as mind-boggling as that is, that's something, a reality I unfortunately need to consider. So hope I don't have to deal with that, but there's that. Yeah, that's it. Got everything unpacked. The previous video before this will show you what I did while in Exodus. I had started some King's German Legion light infantry and finished them in St. Louis. While I was in St. Louis, I started some French Old Guard and finished them when I got back with the detail today. So there's another couple of units done, and I think my total now is 536 miniatures painted. So a lot of stuff, and still going full steam with that. I don't know what I'm going to paint next. I might play something instead of painting something. I'm sure this is a long shot, but if there's anybody out there that has any similar recent weather-related stories to share, feel free to do so. It will fit nicely in with the topic. Or otherwise, anything else you guys want to talk about while you got me on the horn, there's that. And I will also add, I appreciate the concern that some of you guys shown. That is very heartfelt. It means a lot to know that you guys aren't just avatars and whatnot. You're real people with real feelings, and I appreciate you reaching out. So know that as well. Again, nothing. The ambiance here is what it is because it just reflects my mood. I didn't feel like having it all bright and lit up, and everything's fine. I'm not like, I'm running a power drain or anything like that. It's just I was in the mood for something a little darker. Maybe I feel dark. I don't know. While I was in St. Louis, I was roped into seeing the latest Marvel movie, 10 Rings of Chin Chan or Chim Chim, or I mean, no disrespect to Marvel fans or that movie and my inability to pronounce or even say the title, but it was what I thought it would be, and I don't know how to put it nicely, so maybe I shouldn't say it at all, but if you're into that sort of thing, go see it. You're going to love it. If you're not, don't go see it. You're not going to like it. I'm not into that sort of thing, so I didn't much care for it. But I am waiting for, as I segue into something else from my storm story, I am looking forward to Dune, which is coming out in October. This is the long-awaited tribute, the movie that will portray Dune the way it's supposed to be portrayed. That's what it should be. That's what we're expecting. We'll see. I'm confident that's what it'll be. Also, for those of you who are Robert Jordan fans, or even Game of Thrones fans, I think Amazon Prime is finally ready to release what they've been working on, which is the Wheel of Time series, based on the Robert Long series, Robert Jordan books, Wheel of Time, on Amazon Prime. That looks to be fantastic. I think that's coming out in November. Also, hockey season is right around the corner. Can't wait for that. I barely recognize my Stanley Cup 2019 Stanley Cup Blues champion team anymore. They've hacked players away and moved players off, and I think the Kraken has a couple of our guys now. We'll see the Seattle Kraken play their inaugural season this year. But still, it's hockey, and I'll still watch it. And even though, like I said, I don't recognize my Blues team anymore, really, there's only a handful of players that I care about that are even on the team anymore. I'll still watch it. And we have a couple more comments. I don't know what Charlie, Jean, and Francis is. They really stressed Ida's track through Virginia. It moved pretty quickly to the Northeast. Yeah, that's another thing. Who would have thought that the after effects of Ida hitting land, that its track would have been so detrimental, so far away from its initial landfall. I guess you all saw the footage of walls of water filling the subways in New York. Just so much rain fell so fast. I don't know. That's crazy to me that could still have such power and impact and effect. That after having tracked across land for so long, that's actually alarming. Some would argue that that is a result of global warming. Some would argue against that. I'll let you guys argue that amongst yourselves. I have my own feelings on the matter. Don't know that it means anything to anybody if I voiced them, so I'll stay silent on the subject. Yeah, Dune's going to be awesome. The Wheel of Time indifferent. Okay, well, you're playing it safe is the only reason you're being indifferent, because you have to admit it's cool that somebody decided to try and make that into a series. Never read the books. I tried probably 6 times to get into that series. I don't think it's the books. I think it's me. I read significantly less than I once did. And when it comes to fiction, something happened. The atrophy occurred in that part of the brain that allows you to enjoy fiction. And that's what happened to me. So I don't think it's the books. I think it's me. But I did try again to start that first book. And I think the most recent effort, I had made it about 250 pages, might be pushing it. And then I don't know what happens. It's not necessarily that it's bad. I don't know. I don't know if I will go so far to say even that I lose interest. I don't know. I got nothing there. What else? Agreed. Bold and daring attempt to tackle. Yeah. All right. How about you guys? What have you been up to? What are you doing? I mean, we're here now. What are you guys playing? What are you guys gaining inspiration from? What are you guys procrastinating by way of doing? That's a good question. What does your procrastinations consist of in your lives? You guys have lives too. It's not all about me. I'd be interested to know. As far as things coming out, I barely even pay attention anymore to games coming out. Another one packing for a move. I think people say wardrobe, but I always thought it was wardrobe. I mean, he wears a robe. He's into war. He was trying to think of a new name. I suggested wardrobe, And the way he wrote it, I think, has an effect. But people say wardrobe, wardrobe. He's moving too, so maybe there's something in the drinking water that makes people move this time of year. Packing for a move. I've been looking. This place is very affordable. I like the area, but this place has issues. This house, and I'd like to find something a little bit better. But it's not for a lack of looking. It's not out there. When I find it, I'll jump on it. But I haven't found it. But to go back to what I was saying earlier, as far as games coming out, that used to be quite an interest or pastime of mine, just monitoring the release of new product by way of games. The bulk of phones ringing. This always happens now. All right. Sorry about that. Nothing important really. So, yeah, where a lot of my time went into monitoring game releases. It doesn't anymore. Now, why would I do that in the first place? Well, again, there's this little channel I have on Facebook called X's and Soldiers, and I would say about, good Lord, 90% of that page consists of, hey, this new game's coming out. Hey, this new game's coming out. And these days I think about it, and it's like, I post those less now than I did for a number of reasons. One, strangely, perhaps enough, I feel like I'm doing free advertising for these game companies, and it's like, why should I? I mean, they can do their own advertising, and I never get anything out of it. Not that I expect anything, but it's like, why am I doing free advertising for these game companies? That's all I'm doing. I don't know. So I stopped. Yeah, I know. So I stopped doing it, more or less. If any of you that follow the Facebook page have noticed, there are less and less posts about upcoming games because I guess I'm tired of doing free advertising for game companies. I don't know. That's my mentality right now. Perhaps it's a negative thing, but that's where I'm at. The cat would like to make an entrance and say hi. No. I think she has autism. Isn't it autism where you can't look people in the eye? She won't look in the camera for nothing. You'll get a tail, though. There's how about a tail? Storm story is unraveling into just nothing. On a Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday, is it not? Wednesday night? It's Wednesday night. How about that? Does anybody have anything else? I'm just droning on here now at this point. Bedtime here. Take care. So good to see you well and safe. And props for the old school house phone. No, it's not an old school house phone. It's the ringtone I have on my. Sorry, I don't get any points for having an old school house phone. And the phone was over laying on the couch. So anyway. All right, guys. If there's nothing else, make it snappy. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here because I got nothing else to say. This was supposed to be just about the storm, and I'm okay, and I've got power, and everything's going to be fine. And I appreciate your concern. That's what I wanted to say. All right. Talk to you guys the next time I talk to you. Bye-bye.